The plot of most Zelda games revolve around the three that symbolize the Triforce. Link, Zelda, and Ganon. Their bond doesn't just stop there though. The cruel chains they're confined to echo back to the devil's dying breath. Those like you, those who share the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero, they are eternally bound to this curse. An incarnation of my hatred shall ever follow your kind, dooming them to wander a blood-soaked sea of darkness for all time. What's good guys, it's Edible Incredible. In this video, I'll be portraying the life of Ganondorf through his point of view. This will focus on his ambitions in Ocarina of Time, his hatred in Twilight Princess, and his enlightenment in The Wind Waker. Even though the incarnations of Ganon throughout the Downfall timeline stem from a reality where his human form was victorious, I won't be including this era since I want to focus on the events that encompass specifically Ganondorf, to lead into his presumed resurrection in Breath of the Wild sequel. Ganondorf Dragmire was born into a female-dominated Gerudo tribe. According to Nibiru, a male is born every 100 years. Prior to Ganon, this male has always been destined to take the helm as Gerudo King, and he was no exception. From the outset, he had everything served to him on a silver platter, so to speak. Complete dominion over his own race. But he couldn't shake the feeling that he desired so much more for himself. When he was roughly young Link's age, the fires of war spread across the neighboring lands of Hyrule. As a young chieftain, he learned a lot from watching the Hylian Civil War as a mere spectator. When the sun rose into the sky, a burning wind punished my lands, searing the world. And when the moon climbed into the dark of night, a frigid gale pierced our homes. No matter when it came, the wind carried the same thing: death. But the winds that blew across the green fields of Hyrule brought something other than suffering and ruin. I coveted that wind, I suppose. Almost a decade following the war, Ganon swung his ambitions into action. He started by establishing a false devotion to the most powerful man around, the King of Hyrule. This opened the doors for him to gain access to Hyrule Castle and the surrounding settlements nearby without suspicion, Castletown and the Temple of Time. He also demanded the spiritual stones from the Great Deku Tree, Darunia, and the Zora King, but all three of them refused, so Ganon plagued their homes with three wicked creatures. The rest of his plan was a waiting game, hinging upon the young Princess Zelda's noble intentions. Or so it would appear, although he did seek out the princess in desperation. But we'll never know for sure if this was really his plan to trick them into thinking he's desperate. Either way, upon losing sight of Zelda, he abruptly ran into what appeared to be a Kokiri. He immediately recognized him as the boy who accompanied the princess while he pledged his allegiance to the king. So you think you can protect them from me? You've got guts, kid. He concluded by revealing his true intentions: to rule the world. This is where the effect of Demise first officially shows its head. Ganondorf then followed his suspicion of this boy into the Temple of Time, where he witnessed the child pull the legendary blade that acted as a key to the sacred realm. He felt like he got handed what he wanted most yet again: total control of his surroundings. As I thought, you held the keys to the door of time. You have led me to the gates of the sacred realm. Yes, I owe it all to you, kid. He made Hyrule Castle his own, and when that boy reappeared 7 years later, he allowed Link to wander around since he knew the princess was still disclosing herself to his supremacy. I commend you for avoiding my pursuit for 7 years, but you let your guard down. I knew you would appear if I let this kid wander around. My only mistake was to slightly underestimate the power of this kid. No, it was not the kid's power I misjudged. It was the power of the Triforce of Courage. Ganon, can't you see this boy as the Blade of Evil's bane on his back? Stop misjudging the hero of time, dog. With 2 of the 3 Triforce pieces now acquired, he felt on top of the world. In his mind, no one could dethrone him at this point. Awaiting Link's arrival, he aggressively played an organ, as if to say, "Welcome to your death, boy." Little did he know this was the finale of his reign, no matter the timeline. The great evil king, Ganondorf, Beaten by this kid? In the adult timeline, Link prevails in finishing off Ganon, and the sages seal him in the evil realm. In the downfall timeline, Ganondorf defeats Link, but the sages are still able to confine him within the sacred realm. Let's now follow Ganondorf preceding his defeat into the adult timeline. As he was consumed into the realm, he never felt as infuriated. Someday, when the seal is broken, that is when I will exterminate your descendants. Now he had time to ponder over all of his decisions that led to this imprisonment. To be given everything, then to have it all ripped away at once. He was spoiled as hell. I believe sometime between these games is when he had a slight change of heart. In the Wind Waker, even though he just exclaimed how he'll wipe their descendants, this wasn't his plan at all. But we'll get to that. Now onto the Great Flood. The boy's tale was passed down through generations until it became legend. But then, a day came when a fell wind began to blow across the kingdom. The great evil that all thought had been forever sealed by the hero once again crept forth from the depths of the earth, eager to resume its dark designs. The people believed that the hero of time would again come to save them, but the hero did not appear. Faced by an onslaught of evil, the people could do nothing but appeal to the gods. When the gods heard our pleas, they chose to seal away not only Ganon, but Hyrule itself. And so, with a torrential downpour of rains from the heavens, our fair kingdom was soon buried beneath the waves, forgotten at the bottom of the ocean. The gods chose those who would build a new country and commanded them to take refuge on the mountaintops. Hundreds of years later, Ganon broke free of his second confinement. With years to thoroughly think through what he'd do upon his return, he began his third attempt to covet the now ancient lands of Hyrule. First off, he now knows how much of a threat the Master Sword is, so he butchered the sages responsible for maintaining the blade's magic, then created a massive demonic bird to be his eyes as he searched for the one who carried Zelda's blood. After watching Link obliterate said bird, he allowed the young hero to walk in on him as he faced away from the door, similar to a fateful day that still plagues his thoughts. He couldn't help but feel some nostalgia. It's been a while, boy. You've done well to sneak into my fortress and wriggle your way all the way up here. I suppose the least I can do is commend you for your reckless courage. After he made it aware to Link that he can't be defeated with a blade that doesn't sparkle with the power to repel evil, he felt another presence in the room, a pathetic sea rat. At least that's what he called her. But after grabbing her and attempting to choke her, damn Ganon, maybe you haven't changed after all. His Triforce of power began to resonate. Knowing exactly what that meant, he knew his search was over. This was the current Zelda. Before he could wrap his head around it all, a couple retails snatched Link and Zelda from his clutches. At first, he was pretty irritated, but he quickly realized how close he now is to getting his paws on the Triforce again. He figured the King of Hyrule would hide Zelda somewhere, while he helped Link recover the Master Sword's witchery. Somewhere the king thought was unknown to him. That dim-witted king, I know exactly what you're scheming, he proudly thought to himself. He probably had a suspicion that the King of Hyrule would hide Zelda somewhere beneath the waves. So after he discovered Zelda's location, I wouldn't say it's far-fetched for him to be able to keep watch on Zelda as he chills in his tower nearby. As we saw in Ocarina, Ganondorf was able to watch from a pretty far distance. He captured Zelda while she was in the Temple of Time. This Zelda vanished right as Link walks in to check on her. Ganon knew moments like these are few and far between. I believe this was just him toying with Link out of his own amusement. He wasn't even sure if he'd survive the upcoming battle if this boy was really the hero reborn. He wanted to make the most of it either way. He set up a bed for the sleeping Zelda and even 3 forms of a puppet he prepared for Link. Watching Link duke it out was oddly entertaining, since his own sword techniques were kind of inspired by the hero of time centuries ago, even though he looks back at that time in anguish of his past arrogance. In his mind, he still praises the hero of time for his craft, just like how he commends this Link for his reckless courage. Time and solitude has changed his outlook on the hero. Do not fear, I will not kill you. I merely have need of the power that dwells within you. Now, let us put an end to that which binds us together. He finally was able to complete the Triforce with nothing clouding his psyche but the wish he repeated in his mind over and over. He stuck out his hand and made that wish. Who knows if he was blind to his own desires or just choked in the moment, but the King of Hyrule appeared right in front of him and touched the Triforce. As he spilled his own wish, Ganon felt frozen in time. He didn't know what to make of it. A fury of emotions engulfed his thoughts, leaving nothing but his villainous intentions of demise. He laughed it off aggressively. This is foolishness. A future? For you? Very well then, allow me to show you. your future. Yes, allow me to show you just what hope you have. See how much your precious Triforce is worth. This is the relic he's been worshipping and striving to obtain for centuries. Yet he still says, let's see how much it's worth? Right before this, he swore he wouldn't kill him, and now wants to murder Link and Zelda. He's clearly lost it at this point. Now let's head back to the age of the Hero of Time. While Ganondorf prepared to seize control of the Sacred Realm, he got word that the royal family knew his loyalty to the king wasn't sincere. And on top of that, they discovered his plan to obtain the Triforce and how exactly he'd do so. Ganon was shook. It didn't make sense. I haven't revealed this information to anyone but my most trusted subordinates. Did someone betray me? Or could the royal family have a hidden power that reveals our true intentions? It doesn't matter anymore. I need to counter this absurdity as soon as possible. I'll quickly gather my greatest warriors and grasp their beloved Triforce with aggression if I have to. So the Gerudo-Hylian War commenced, decimating Castletown and the Temple of Time in its wake. Unfortunately for the Gerudo, the royal family figured they'd attack as the last resort, so the Hylians were ready. They drove the Gerudo forces all the way back to their own desert. In all his fury and might, he was blind to any danger, and thus he was exposed, subdued, and brought to justice. Yet, by some divine prank, he too had been blessed with the chosen power of the gods. His abiding hatred and lust for power turned to purest malice. Upon being cloaked into darkness, Ganon reflected on the events that just unfolded. What was that sudden surge of strength? Why did the back of my hand resemble a Triforce? Did the gods really choose me? This eased his mind as he chuckled to himself while fading into twilight. Ganon was then surprised to find that he wasn't the only one in this nothingness of a prison. A tribe who called themselves the Twili thrived in the glowing embers of the Twilight Realm. His gaze focused to a member of their tribe that seemed at his wit's end. I shall house my power in you. If there's anything that you desire, then I shall desire it too. Time goes by as Ganon's urge to get revenge on the royal family increases with each passing year. With the emergence of Xanth's newfound power, they're able to blanket Hyrule in twilight, reminiscent to what the sages did to Ganon. Once the Zelda of this time gave her life energy to save Midna, Hyrule Castle was then vulnerable. This is when Ganon hopped into the throne and created a dome of twilight to enclose himself from those pesky Hylians. After defeating Ganon's puppet, Xanth, Midna and the Hero of Time's descendant ventured to the corrupted Hyrule Castle, where Ganondorf waited, anticipating the Twilight Princess. Your people had some skill to be sure, but they lacked true power. The kind of absolute power that those chosen by the gods wield. He who wields such power would make a suitable king for this world, don't you think? Ganon was blinded by this power. He thought he was chosen by the gods, but in reality his connection to the devil granted him the Triforce of power. His destiny was predetermined by Demise's cursed cycle. Even though he never laid his hands upon the Triforce in this timeline, he was fated to obtain it from the very start. So Midna proved to be no match for the Gerudo King. With his ego at an all-time high, he crushed Midna's helmet in front of two insects that remained before him. It seemed like he knew that Zelda was a bearer of a piece of the Triforce, but this boy in green was a mystery. Remember, in this age he never fought the hero unless he returned from Termina in time to aid the Hylians in the war. But Ganon calls Link Midna's little friend as if he doesn't pose a threat. To Ganon's dismay, this boy was in fact the destined wielder of the Triforce of Courage. But Ganon's only intentions were still swallowed by revenge. An impressive looking blade, but nothing more. Nothing more? He has no idea that this sword is designed to slaughter him. Would you hear my desire to take this foul blade and use it to blot out the light forever? Just like Ganondorf in the finale to Ocarina, he was extremely ignorant regarding the hero. The tragic tale of Ganondorf Dragmire stems from the constraints that were put on his soul, provoking him to seek out evil intent, no matter how righteous his heart desired to be. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. This script turned out to be a lot longer than I initially envisioned, but I think for the better. I'm so excited to see his revival in the next game, so I thought covering his humanoid side would be appropriate. Thanks for watching to the end, and as always, I hope you all stay hyped. Peace! With two of the three Triforce pieces now acquired, he felt on top of the world. Okay. With two of the tree. God. I'll quickly gather my. What the? Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Well, I hope you.